Hello everyone! So today I'm back with my second ever YouTube video, and I want to talk about something that is actually going to help you manifest very quickly. So I know we see all the clickbaity videos, right, about do this different type of method and you'll actually manifest overnight and all of that. But let's get to the actual root of what helps you manifest quickly. So whenever I get any questions about timing as it relates to manifestation, I always point people to the Neville Goddard quote that says the time it takes to receive your manifestation is proportionate to how natural it feels for you to either have that thing or be that person. So it's about naturalness. And this is really where I think a lot of people don't realize this is where the techniques come in, or don't, and I'll get to that later. But like when you are doing the scripting, the visualizing, the affirming, the mirror work, whatever it is that you are doing, that is helping you get more familiar with your desired reality. It is like mental rehearsal. So if it is having a certain number in your bank account or making a certain amount per month, and you are visualizing what that would be like, you are affirming for that, you are creating the mental space for your brain to be familiar with that lifestyle, right? So it doesn't feel so out of reach. It doesn't feel like a pipe dream. It doesn't feel like there is separation between where you are now and the life you want to be having. That is what the techniques are helping you do. So this brings up the question. I have my little notes here. This brings up the question. A lot of people will ask, like, well, do you saturate your mind or do you detach, right? Either way, right? Either way, if you manifest with true detachment or really saturating your mind, what both things are doing are mimicking a natural experience. What do I mean by that? When you are, again, having, let's say it's an SP, you are having inner conversations. You're hearing them tell you like, oh, good morning, you look so beautiful today. I can't wait to take you out. You're picturing them, calling you, FaceTiming you. You're picturing what you would wear on the date. Maybe you're manifesting marriage and you're picturing what your life looks like as a married couple. You're continuing to return back to this reality, and it's making it more and more familiar. It's making it easier for your mind to grasp. And it's like the idea that when you've gone to a certain, I don't want to say emotion, but like feeling or awareness, which may come with its own emotions, so much, it's like your brain can then just pull from that experience and immediately feel that feeling and bring that awareness into now, right? Because it's like a checkpoint for your mind. It's something it's able to reference. And this is the feeling of naturalness. Now, when you take the detachment route, you're still doing that. That's why the route that you take doesn't really matter. So when you opt for the detachment route, which, is something, depending on what I'm manifesting, is kind of like what I prefer, depending. But it's going to be, completely personal to you. When you do the detachment route, you are also being the person for which that experience is normal and natural. So let's break it down and think about it. In the SP example, if you are manifesting your SP and you have that intention, you have that desire, you're like, I want to be with this specific person, and you just assume it's mine, it's done. And then you go about living your normal life. So you're just working, you're hanging out with your girlfriends, you're doing, your hobbies, you're going to the gym. Things are normal for you, right? That is the same way that you would be if you had that person in your experience. Yes, I understand you would probably be going on dates with them and texting them and seeing them physically, but in the time you're not doing that, right, which is probably not going to be like your entire day, what else are you going to be doing? Grocery shopping, errands, working. You're going to be living your normal life, right? So that is why also people experience detachment as a way for manifesting very quickly, because it's like, it's a natural experience for you. It's very normal. You're just going around doing what you need to do with the assumption in the back of your mind, with that knowing, yeah, this person is mine. I already have them, right? It doesn't really, like, is the world going to stop spinning because you have your person? No, you're still going to have those regular things, right? You're still going to have your daily task, whatever that looks like for you. I hope that makes sense. So in either, you know, approach, you are mimicking natural. You are getting to the point where it feels normal. And this is why a lot of times when we manifest something, it feels like when it actually happens physically, it feels a little bit anticlimactic, right? Because it's like, yeah, you've been there so much mentally. You've rehearsed it internally so much that it doesn't feel like a shocker when it happens. It feels like a natural extension of where you've been internally. Like, of course, my physical world is going to show me that, because that's who I am. That's who I've been being. I've been being someone who is chosen and adored by my SP. I've been being someone who is abundant. So it only makes sense, naturally, that's what my world is going to reflect. Even if you have no understanding of the conscious manifestation process, right? If you indulge in something mentally long enough, it's not going to feel surprising when it shows up in your reality. It shouldn't. Right? Sometimes if we're unconscious, of course, and we're unconsciously dabbling in a story, then yeah, it can be like, whoa, a shocker. But like, if you're intentionally doing this, it's going to feel natural. That is the point. That is how you manifest quickly. So even in the detachment example, like, to make that clearer, think about something that you already have. Maybe it's your phone, it's a car, whatever. Are you always like, oh my God, my car, where's my car, right? Did I put my car in the garage? Should I go check it? Where's my keys? Like, no, you're doing whatever you need to do. Like, if you're in the house, with the knowing, of course it's there. Of course it's mine. I don't need to think about it all the time. And even if you're taking the saturation route, that's okay, because more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where you feel like it's done. You feel like you don't have to like saturate your mind anymore. And if you do, you only do it because it feels good, not because you feel like you have to. Okay? So there is not one better route. It's about what's best for you and your personality type. Now, I have my notes here. So think about, just to further illustrate this point, like, I always think about, you can tell when someone hasn't had something in kind of how they react. So, and this isn't like to be judgmental or anything. I'm just trying to illustrate my point here. Like, if someone like, I've had friends who like, anyway, it's a long story. I'm thinking about like history and stuff here, but like, I've had friends who never really got a lot of male attention, right? Or kind of had this like pick me energy, and they would get so like over the top excited when a man like complimented them or showed them any type of attention, or just was like nice to them, right? Or would make it mean something like way blown out of proportion. And that is always a signal that is not a normal, natural experience for that person. Same thing goes with money. And again, this is not to shame or to be like, you know, wagging my fingers at somebody. I'm just trying to illustrate here the importance of naturalness. When someone, you know, hasn't had money all of their lives, like myself, right? I didn't grow up with money. I grew up around rich people, but I surely didn't have it myself. You can tell when something is not a normal experience for them, right? When a luxury experience is not natural for them. So this exactly directly ties into manifestation, right? You can't kind of like cheat your way out of this. If it doesn't feel natural to you, and I'm not saying like completely, there's room for doubt, there's room for like feeling like you're delusional. It's not about being perfect ever. It's just that most of the time, right, dominantly, this should feel kind of like, yeah, this is mine. It shouldn't feel that out there. This is why I'm even a fan of like sometimes, I shouldn't say downplaying, but neutralizing things that right now would seem like, oh my God, right? I can't believe that happened, right? So if something, let's say you have a business and you have your best sales day ever, it just blows it out of the water. Even though you might want to do like a backflip and like, oh my God, right? And of course, celebrate it. I'm not saying like you can do that for a couple minutes, but then come back to, yeah, this is normal for me, right? This is, you could even take it a step further and be like, oh wow, it's kind of a slow sales day today. Whew, hope things pick up, right? Because it's kind of not a great day. Because you're normalizing it. That's also expanding the threshold of what is your baseline, right? And it's not about being ungrateful. But also here's the thing, that is why a lot of entitled people, a lot of people who are already rich get more. And you don't even have to be rich. People who are just purely entitled because they don't have that like moral thing of like, oh, is this right? Like, am I asking for too much, right? Am I being ungrateful? No. You know that you're grateful. You know that you're a good person, right? So it's about kind of neutralizing these things and making it feel like, yeah, that's normal for me, right? I get to have that. So one way even that I have been doing lately, like a technique for manifesting, if you're struggling with this idea of making things more familiar, I've really been loving this, is opening a voice note. I talked about this over on TikTok a little bit, but opening a voice note and kind of doing almost like a one-sided interview where maybe someone's asking you like, hey, how did you get rich so quickly? Like, you're such an inspiration. Like, walk us through that. Or they're saying like, you know, you and your SP have just the ideal relationship. You guys are relationship goals. How did you get there? How does it feel to be the woman that is in this relationship that everyone envies? That is the perfect relationship. How does that feel? For me, this has really worked because sometimes like scripting and affirmations, all those things like can feel a little bit performative, right? It feels like it only goes so far at certain times. So when you let yourself, and don't just do it for like a couple seconds or like try to just say something because it sounds good, like really think about it and just let yourself go there and just yap, right? Just yap about it. This has really helped me because it does actually, like, I'm talking from my perspective, and then you're putting yourself in the position of it's already happened, right? So you're forcing yourself to look at how that feels for you, right? To put yourself in that state of being that person in that moment. But again, if the technique's right, like I love visualizing as well. Visualizing, scripting, inner conversations, all of these things. Do it with the awareness that you're getting more familiar with this reality. And if it starts to feel neutral, if it starts to lose its like emotional charge, where maybe you were visualizing being with your SP and you were scripting about it, and then it got to a point where you're like, right? Like, I don't even feel like doing this anymore. I don't think I actually care. That's your sign. Yes, that means it's actually working. So a lot of people get scared and ask me about that. No, that means that it is working because you've gotten to the point, you've tipped the scales where that is a normal, natural experience for you. You gave yourself the experience. It feels unordinary, right? It feels like, or ordinary, I should say, right? It feels just like, yeah, a regular day. It doesn't have that like emotional, heightened emotional feeling. And if it does, that's okay. Don't think that I'm saying that, oh, you have to feel neutral or you have to feel like indifferent about it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in all of these approaches, that is what we're kind of getting at, right? The idea of making it more reachable, making it more in grasp to our mind. All right, so I hope this makes sense. And if you have like, if there's other methods that you do or like things that maybe don't seem conventional that aren't talked about in the manifestation community, but you feel like it's doing this for you, then stick with those. Do those things. You don't have to do, you know, what other teachers say. But understand, if you want something to manifest quickly, focus on that feeling. And the last point that I'll say is, this really ties in with everything, because that's also what we're doing with self-concept, which is what I preach the most, right? That's what my SP Masterclass, everything that I teach and, you know, promote is going to be self-concept based. That is also what you're doing. Because when you're in an identity where, you know, these things are natural for you. So let's say, again, SP, right? Because that's everyone's favorite example. When you're in an identity where, of course, men pursue me, right? What do you mean you don't want commitment with me? Like, that's not who that doesn't even make sense. Of course I get princess treatment. Like, of course you're going to reach out to me first. You can't stand to be away from me. Like, when that is your self-concept and those are your beliefs, that type of treatment is a natural experience for you, right? It's a natural experience. That's why if you've ever, like, I've been asked this before, right? Where friends have been like, why is it always when guys approach you or like you're dating someone, they go straight to commitment? It's never situationship, friends with benefits. Oh, I don't know what I want, because that's my self-concept. I didn't even realize that at the time. This was before I even knew about law of assumption, and then it clicked for me once I knew about law of assumption and self-concept. But that was why, because it's baked into my identity. That's just who I am. It would be unnatural for someone to come into my life and not want commitment with me. You see what I'm getting at here? So all of these things, self-concept, you know, immersing your mind, detachment, whatever. The key is making it a normal experience, and don't force it, because it will come also with time and repetition. Okay, so I hope this was a helpful topic. I hope this makes sense. If it didn't make sense or it did, please leave a comment. And I have my SP Masterclass if you are interested in, you know, this type of stuff and self-concept work. Then definitely check out my SP Masterclass. I have my highest timeline workshop. That is just everything you need to know about self-concept as well. So yeah, and I will hopefully have another video very soon. Check me out over on TikTok as well. All right, bye guys.